All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NBA show. It is Friday, June 16th. Actually, about an hour ago, we just saw that Ja Morant has been suspended for 25 games. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Zion Williamson because that possible trade, Pelicans moving up to pick number 2, pick number 3, whatever it is, it's gaining some traction. We're also going to talk about some coaching hires. We have the Raptors possibly moving up to number 3. We'll talk about that a little bit. Draft news is picking up. We're less than a week away from the NBA draft. So we got a jam-packed schedule here. I am going to send this to the team. Whoever wants to come up can come up. I would imagine Mr. Cyro Asseo should be joining us for a little bit. But before we pull up the Ja Morant situation, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button, hitting that sub button, if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. It would be crazy if we could reach 2,000 subs by the NBA draft. We've never really grown at a clip like that. So if you hit the like button, that definitely goes a long way. But yeah, man, let's talk some Ja Morant here. 25 games is actually a lot less than I was anticipating. To be honest with you, I was thinking at first possibly 25 games. And then it seemed like Adam Silver really built it up because of what he said. Like, we got Karam here. The way Adam Silver built it up and not bringing it up in the NBA Finals or at any point in the playoffs, what have you, it felt like it was going to be a big-ass suspension. So I was thinking at that point, like, all right, man, we're probably going to not see him for at least a third of the season. There were definitely some thoughts like Karam saying here where we're looking at 40 games. We could be looking at a whole regular season. Ja Morant could miss the entire next season, and he comes out here 25 games. Personally to me, I don't really care how long he should have been suspended. It really doesn't matter to me. 25 games, I'm not in the NBA. So 25 games, I'm sure, is a long time to be away. I mean, think about it. That's like 2 months right there. At least. That's probably 2 months in the NBA season, 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere like that, where you're not at your job. That's enough time. For us, with Ja, it's more so like the Grizzlies will be fine. The Grizzlies are going to be a fine basketball team for 25 games without Ja Morant. They'll be just fine. The future of the Memphis Grizzlies is just fine. They do a great job at drafting. They do a great job at evaluating talent, et cetera, et cetera. 25 games is fine to me. We just don't want this to happen again because if it happens again, it might be the end. Not of Ja Morant's future in the NBA. I mean, possibly even depending on what happens, but more so, right now, if you're the Memphis Grizzlies, you have no inclination, you have no reason, you have no desire to trade Ja Morant. There is no reason to trade Ja Morant right now if you are the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, if something happens again, I mean, then we're probably going to have a little bit of a different conversation. But for right now, the Memphis Grizzlies, I know that discourse is going to come up a little bit for some people. There's no reason to trade Ja Morant if you are the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, even though this isn't the best look on the franchise, whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, it just doesn't matter. I think honestly, Ja Morant will be just fine. At the end of the day, I mean, it just kind of comes down to what he wants, right? Nobody can make Ja do something. No, he can only make himself do something. So it's going to come down to, how does he do this summer? How does he do the suspension? Honestly, I'm going to go with he'll be just fine. I do know that what was the joke I saw today? All this for a toy gun, all right? Because he was saying it was a toy gun. I don't really care about the nitty-gritty of the details about that specific incident because I don't know Ja like that. So, not my place to speak. But, yeah, he'll be just fine. But the 25 games is, I think, perfectly fine. I mean, now he can't join. I believe he can't make an All-NBA. And, these things sound kind of stupid or foolish or whatever, but I mean there's like contract incentives. I mean, there's reasons to go out there and get some of these awards. But Ja's such a young, talented player that, he'll be just fine. All right, so that's Ja Morant. Now we got Zion. These news just keep on breaking with Zion. Brandon Ingram too. I don't know if this is at this point. There's so much. This is like the NBA season is over, right? And so we're in that weird stage. There needs to be a word to describe it, where you go from the end of the official NBA season, even though all these other teams have been, on off season for some time now. They're making moves. We're seeing coaches get fired. We're seeing coaches get hired. Whatever. We're at that point right now where the NBA draft is less than a week away, and we're seeing smoke screens, and we're seeing GMs and rival GMs come out here and say these things, push out certain narratives. Everybody's trying to get an edge. Everybody's trying to get a leg up. So it's hard to really you have to take all this with a grain of salt. It's hard to take a lot of this stuff at face value just because of where we're at in the NBA season. So dude, this Wi-Fi is insane. I mean, I can't believe it. I sometimes I go back. I've been doing a lot of Rocket streams. I keep going back and listening to, like the start of it, and all the starts of my Rocket streams last week have been, apologize if the Wi-Fi is bad, whatever. And every single Rocket stream has crashed. This whole week it's been me solo showing these, and every single stream it's crashed at least once. And honestly, I don't understand it. I lived here all summer. We did the show here all summer, but we're back. Thankfully, it didn't take that long to get back here. What was I saying about Zion? That's another, when the Wi-Fi cuts, it's a little tough to get back at it. But anyways, with Zion, I worry at this point. Honestly, I just am beginning to worry if Zion even wants to play basketball. The thing is, when he's out there on the court, man, and he's healthy, he's a freaking stud. Like, even if Zion's a little overweight, even if he's just a little big, I mean, Zion, this dude is so good at basketball. I mean, he's just so good at basketball. I personally, I'm coming around the corner to the fact of, if the Pelicans made a move like this, I mean, it's not it wouldn't shock me. I mean, it really wouldn't shock me. Hey, what's up, Richard Kenny? To do a pod, Wi-Fi is necessary. Yeah. Uh, I'm back home, or I'm home right now, but I'm back in Florida tomorrow. So next week on Monday, we're doing the show at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And although I've had a ton of issues with Wi-Fi at my apartment, it's actually somehow better than this. In Florida, I'll just get a text. I'll get a text when I wake up at 8 a.m. and it'll be from Xfinity saying they're doing work in your neighborhood. I'll text the boys. I'll be like, man, it's not looking good for me on the show. And then I'll get Wi-Fi back up at like 5 in the afternoon. You just don't have Wi-Fi all day. And it's like, shit, dude. I don't hate it because I like to go outside. But when you do this for a living, it can get a little annoying. if it happens for extended days, but it doesn't matter. Let's take a look at Brandon Ingram's contract. Somebody I know in the basketball world really wants the Pelicans to trade away Brandon Ingram to move up for Scoot Henderson. I don't personally wouldn't do it, but when you get into the details, here's the details. All right. Brandon Ingram this upcoming season will be making $33.8 million. Now, personally, I think for a guy like Brandon Ingram's talent, that's a great deal. And I think most people would agree with that. After that season, 2024, 2025, he will be making $36 million. The point has nothing to do actually financially. The point has to do with Brandon Ingram now has 2 years left on his contract. So there's a couple of things we need to do with that. It would surprise a lot of people that Brandon Ingram is only 25 years old. He's 25 years old. Now, he will be 26 when the start of the season begins because his birthday's in September. But Brandon Ingram is 25 years old. I mean, it's actually completely shocking to me. I can't believe he's only 25 years old. I'm about to be 24 in a month. This dude's going to be 1 year older than me. Pain. All right. Unfortunate reality about Brandon Ingram is this, not this. Brandon Ingram's coming off a career year. Okay. He just shot 48.5% from the field. He just shot 39% from downtown. He just averaged 25 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 6 assists last year. So you're asking, what's the issue? There's no issue. Well, Brandon Ingram last season, we know he got injured. He played 45 games. Okay. Well, the issue is the year before that, the same thing occurred, and Brandon Ingram only played 55 games. The last time Brandon Ingram played over 60 games was in 2020, 2021. That was 2 full seasons ago. He only played 61 games. The season before that, only 62. The season before that, 52. The season before that, 59. He's only played over 60 games 3 times in his NBA career. He's been in the league for 7 seasons. He's only played 70 games once in his NBA career. So my point is this. I don't think the Pelicans should do this. I know that the rumors are Zion Williamson and not Brandon Ingram being in this trade. But like I said at the beginning of this segment, I saw somebody suggest that Brandon Ingram should be in the trade to acquire Scoot Henderson. I thought the guy was crazy. I do a little bit of digging, and I'm like, oh, it's crazy. Ingram's 25. He's been in the league for 7 seasons. To acquire a guy like Scoot Henderson, who would be the undisputed number 1 pick in the draft, maybe it's not that crazy. Maybe it's not that crazy. Pelicans are actually in a weird position, which isn't as big of a deal because they do a really, really good job at drafting. I think the Pelicans in the last, at least 3 or 4 seasons, 5 seasons even, I think the Pelicans have done one of the, at least top 10, at worst, a top 10 in the entire NBA as far as drafting. I think they do a great job at scouting and figuring out that talent. And what are they at this upcoming draft? 14? I don't think that a Scoot Henderson trade occurs. I think actually Scoot Henderson with LaMelo Ball is so good. I think it would be a match made in heaven, honestly, because of LaMelo's, maybe not heaven, but it's a decent match because LaMelo off ball is phenomenal. LaMelo off ball is really, really good. We're going to talk a little bit of the draft at the end. We're like I said, we're less than a week away. I'm not a huge draft guy. I'm not a scout. I'm not like savvy with that. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's going to take who. I don't really care about that. I like taking it from the GM side where it's like, if I was like the GM of the Pelicans, what would I do? Do the Pelicans have a good enough roster as it stands, even with a healthy Zion Williamson, to make a championship run? I would say yes. I think with a healthy Zion Williamson, I would say yes. I do think they desperately need a point guard. I think they desperately need a point guard. If you could actually swap Zion for Scoot, man, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. Zion's about to start his 5-year, $194.3 million contract extension with the Pelicans this upcoming season. All right, a little interesting. Great question, Richard. I'm glad you asked it. Let's talk about it. Portland. Honestly, man, Portland's in a really good spot. All right, let me pull up a picture of Portland. What do you think is going to happen to Portland? But anyways, I'm not buying the whole Brandon Miller at 2. I'm not buying it. I don't even think Brandon Miller last year, if he went, would be like a top 3 pick. I mean, you could argue it. He's a great basketball talent. I don't think he would have gone. He could have gone 1 at last year, actually, but I don't think it would have happened. Portland's in a really good spot. So I'm going to assume, actually, that number 2 is Scoot Henderson. All right. Now, this is where things get interesting. Fit-wise, all right, first off, we got to look at talent because you got to draft based off of talent and not fit. But the contingency is this: Vic and Scoot are off the board. So now we have a handful of players. I'm looking at Amon Thompson, and I'm looking at Brandon Miller. Honestly, Cam Whitmore is probably even in there too. If you view all 3 of those players as the same type of talent level, then you got to go based off of fit. So I would go Brandon Miller at pick number 3. If you really want to keep Damian Lillard, you're going to have to probably make a bigger move at some point in the offseason. And you could do it in the draft. I think Pascal Siakam on Portland would be a really good idea. I know Portland has rumored to trade up to number 3. Amon Thompson playing with Dame, in theory, sounds really fun. If Portland was going for the future, I would 100% select Amon Thompson. Like 100%, not even close, select Amon Thompson. If they decided to get rid of Dame, or if they decided to focus on the future, 100% the pick is Amon Thompson. My concern is if you draft Amon Thompson with Damian Lillard on your roster, Thompson's potential and his impact is going to be severely limited on the court because Damian Lillard, as he should be, should have the ball in his hands. He should have the ball in his hands at all times, just about. I mean, obviously, you got to run the offense, and he shouldn't have the ball in his hands all the time, but you want the ball in Damian Lillard's hands as often as possible. The same thing applies to Amon Thompson because he's not a crazy shooter. I don't want Amon Thompson off ball if we're talking developing his future. So do you go Brandon Miller at 3? Well, Brandon Miller is going to average 15 next year at worst. He reminds me very similarly of Jabari Smith Jr., but I don't know if Brandon Miller is going to come into the NBA seamlessly and help this team, make a deep postseason run. He certainly could. Certainly could. I think he'd help more than Amon Thompson as far as, help next year. But Portland's in a weird spot. They're in a weird spot. You could go Cam Whitmore too. Cam Whitmore would definitely help translate to wins. It's not the flashiest of scorers, you could say, but he can knock down threes, and he's a two-way player. If I was Portland, I'd either take Brandon Miller or make a trade. I would trade it for Siakam if a Siakam thing is actually out there on the table. I would try and get even a little bit more crafty and see what else I could get from Toronto. But, I don't know what Toronto's viewing either. So, Masai Ujiri could be thinking right now, like, everyone in the league thinks Freddie and Gary Trent won't be back next season. They both could be definitely back next season. All right. So, Portland's not in a bad situation. The future of Amon Thompson and Shaedon Sharpe, I mean, that's kind of scary. But do you pull the trigger on that? Probably not. Probably not. So, we'll see what Portland does, man. It's going to be interesting. Just in the draft, I have a couple of notes here. Mazar Thompson cancels workout with the Pacers. It's interesting. Grady Dick worked out with the Pacers. The Pacers actually Pacers are up there with recent draft classes. I mean, I have a couple just jotted down. Tyrese Halliburton, IJ Nembhard, sneaky player. Andrew Nembhard, very sneaky, very, very sneaky player. He's a great basketball player. He's got a nice future in the league. Last year, Benedict Mathurin. I would imagine a team guaranteed Austin Thompson that they're going to take him, and I think it's probably Orlando at 6. And I think Azar Thompson at 6 to Orlando is money. I think it works perfectly. Let's pull up a mock draft. I kind of want to do an NBA mock draft. Never done one on this show yet, so let's do one. All right. We'll use ESPN. We'll use the NBA. And let's start this draft. I won't do the whole thing because I'm not that dude. How do you do this? All right, obviously, Victor Wembanyama's got to go number 1. There's no world where Victor Wembanyama shouldn't go number 1, as San Antonio has already expressed. They're not even listening to it. This is a really fascinating. I want the pictures to be shown here. Number 2, you got to go Scoot Henderson. And once again, I think Scoot Henderson to Charlotte works out. I think they have a generational type of talent. Here's a great comparison of Scoot Henderson's talent in this league. I think he's a Cade type of prospect where, let's say Victor Wembanyama wasn't in the draft this year. I think Scoot Henderson would be similar to when Cade, with Jalen Green and Evan Mobley was in that draft class, where you're thinking to yourself, there's still rumblings. When Cade was going number 1, there were still rumblings. It was like, 75% sure that the Detroit Pistons were taking Cade, but they were still hearing teams out. They were still hearing offers out. Maybe Houston wants to trade up number 1 to take Evan Mobley or Jalen Green, and they don't want Cade, whatever it was. I think Cade's talent coming out of college is higher than Scoot in the G League right now, but potential-wise, talent-wise, I think they're on the same exact tier. All right. So I'm going Scoot at number 2 because I like the fit. I like the fit a lot. I got to check in for my flight. Perfect. All right. Number 3. We just talked about this. I kind of have to go Brandon Miller here unless they decide to trade it. And then this is where things get interesting for the Houston Rockets. I've seen a lot of stuff out there of Anthony Black going number 4. It's not going to happen. But on paper, I think it makes all the sense in the world. Anthony Black's fit on most teams in the NBA, I think, works nicely. I think he'll end up being a Washington Wizard going number 8, but, we'll get to that when we get to it. So it comes down to, honestly, like these 5 players here. The more rumors that are coming out right now are that the Houston Rockets are pretty sold on Cam Whitmore going number 4. As a Rocket fan, I wouldn't be upset. I think Cam Whitmore's future in the NBA is bright. To be honest with you, I don't think Cam Whitmore's the pick. I don't think it's the perfect fit. And talent-wise, I think, as I said earlier, I think he's on the same level as the Thompson twins. Yeah, I think you have to go Amen Thompson. And once again, I will say this, the same thing applies to Portland. We're going to go ahead and draft Amen here at number 4. I love his fit, too, with Houston. And they should draft 4. I fully agree. The thing with this is same thing with Damian Lillard that I was just talking about. If the Rockets decide to draft Amen Thompson, you cannot sign James Harden. Or you could. Even Kyrie Irving, I don't think that's the move. I think if you're going to have Amen Thompson on your team, I think you got to give him the freaking basketball. I don't think Thompson coming into the NBA off ball works as much as it would with him being on ball. All right. This guy is a great passer. He's a phenomenal freak athlete. He's got two-way ability, and I think he'll develop a shot. He can defend and play make, and that's what Houston needs, man. We need playmakers. Cam Whitmore, to me, Cam Whitmore he's not the best dribbler of the basketball. And it reminds me of Jabari on this team right now, where it's like, I want a guy who can hold the basketball in his hands, not turn the ball over, and set his teammates up. And I think Amen Thompson gives the Rockets the best chance at that. Cam Whitmore's ball handling with Jabari out there, at that point, I would get James Harden. And that's not a bad consolation, and that's what the Rockets might decide to actually do. That's why I'm taking Cam Whitmore at pick number 5 to the Detroit Pistons, because a cat's named Cade Cunningham and a cat named Jaden Ivey, who both can create and do create for themselves. Cam Whitmore in Detroit is a perfect fit where he's not going to need to dribble the basketball all the time. He's not going to need to set himself up all the time. That's why you got Cade and Jaden out there, who I think long-term might be one of the best backcourts in the NBA. And we're going to see it next season once we have a fully healthy Cade Cunningham. Hopefully, fingers crossed on that. All right, now we have Orlando at pick number 6. You could actually go Anthony Black here. I'm going to go Azar Thompson. I think both of the Thompson twins are going to be really good basketball players. I think their mentality is there exactly. I think they have chips on their shoulder. They're humble and they're very, very confident. And they have people who believe in them. They're going to be good basketball players. And I think with Orlando, it looks like they're going to be getting rid of Cole Anthony. This is probably the last year where we're going to see if Markelle Fultz is that dude as far as, is he the Pistons or is he the Magic's long-term point guard? Honestly, probably not. Crom wants him to trade the 6th pick. You can, because you have 11 as well. So we'll see. But I think Azar Thompson makes a lot of sense. All right, now Indiana is in a really good position in the draft in general, right? We just saw Azar Thompson cancels workout with the Pacers. So I'm assuming at pick number 7, Azar Thompson's going to be off the board. Whether he's going, 5 or 6 or maybe even 4, whatever it is, he'll be off the board. So Indiana's in a really good spot here. They also have, we see here 26, 29, and 32. We've seen a bunch of rumblings of them combining those 3 picks and moving up. They could, try and even move up higher than 7. But at 7, they should have a really good spot. I'm 100% easy pick to me going Jarris Walker. Defensively, this guy is an absolute fucking stud. And I think pairing him up with Miles Turner is deadly. I think long-term, that is a deadly combo. Jarris Walker can get it done in the paint. That's deadly. It's scary. But defensively speaking, Jarris Walker and Miles Turner, that works a lot. All right. That works a lot. All right. Now we have Washington at pick number 8. I know Cyro is very big on this pick. I'm 100% going Anthony Black. I think this guy's basketball IQ is through the roof. And Jarris Walker can rebound for Indiana. Anthony Black on the Wizards, the first time in a while, that's being a little disrespectful to the Wizards. This would be a slam dunk of a draft pick. This dude's basketball IQ is so high. His vision is ridiculous. This guy can put the ball where he wants to put the ball. He can do a little bit of everything. His NBA just the way he fits in the NBA, I think he could play for any basketball team. That's how versatile I think this dude is and how talented I think this dude is. If Washington gets Anthony Black at pick number 8, they're going to be very, 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 very thrilled. All right, Utah at 9. Utah's in a weird spot in general. They have a couple of draft picks in the class as well. They're probably going to go best available here, all right, as they should, obviously. Part of me wants to take Grady Dick so Dallas can get Taylor Hendricks at 10 because I think that would be money. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I have to go with Taylor Hendricks at 9. I don't think they're going to pass up on Taylor Hendricks. What's up, Josh? Appreciate you, man. Anthony Black has a lot of good attributes except for the shot. And that's something he can work on. That's something they'll work on next season, possibly with KP, Beal, and Kuz. Possibly. I don't think they'll have all 3 of those players on their roster to start off the regular season. We'll see. So, hey, what's up, my man Chris? Appreciate y'all tuning in here. This is the new time. This is the new time, by the way, for the foreseeable future. All right, Dallas. I'm going to Derek Lively. Lively is a fascinating prospect. He's a very fascinating prospect. I think this dude could be a stud in the league. One thing that's very sneaky about Derek Lively is his passing ability. But I think he just fits Dallas wonderfully. And it also just sets it up perfectly where, Grady Dick going 11 at Orlando, I think it works nicely. One thing I like about Grady Dick are his attributes. It's not like this is some, small 6'4" dude who all he can do is shoot. What is he, 6'7", his wingspan, 6'8", 6'9". I think Grady Dick got a nice future in this league. And I think with Orlando, he fits perfectly. If I'm OKC, I will trade up for the 9th pick and give their top 10 protected pick that Thunder have in next year's draft and 12 and draft Hendricks. Dude, yeah, Taylor Hendricks on the Thunder next year would be really cool as well. So now we have OKC at pick number 12. I agree with you, Karam. I don't think that they'll be selecting at pick number 12. I think there will be a trade, whether they trade up, trade down, whatever it is. I don't think they'll be taking this pick here. If they do, it's a tough spot. We got a couple of cats here. I'm curious to hear. I want to hear what Karam is taking here at pick number 12. Am I crazy for wanting to go NSJ? Is it crazy? Kassan Wallace is a really good basketball product. I'm going to go Nick Smith Jr. here. I think OKC would be very, very proud and very pleased with Nick Smith Jr. coming on over at pick number 12. I don't know. I don't think that pick gets done at 12. 13 to Toronto. This is where things get interesting, man. The end of the lottery is always fascinating. I really like the prospects in the class of lottery, like end of lottery and mid to late first round, between, basically we're at 13 to like 20, even 22. There's going to be some really good basketball players. There are some really good basketball players, but there's going to be some really good guys that come out of that right now where we're at in the class. There's going to be some really good players that come out of it, man. The more I look into this draft, I'm not blown away. I'm not crazy blown away, but there's talent. I think it's being slept on. Nick Smith would be a great scorer from the bench. I like Kassan Wallace a lot. So, all right, we got Toronto here. Toronto, weird spot, man. Freddie, Gary, I think they both easily could be back on this team next season. So do you go Jalen Hood-Schifino or do you go Kassan Wallace? I'm actually going to go Kassan Wallace here. I don't know if this is the pick they're going to do, but that's who I'm going to go. Now we get to the Pelicans here at pick number 14. The Pelicans draft, they seriously do such a good job. I think that if we take the rosters as it stands right now, I think that the Pelicans desperately need a backup point guard. I think they need a point guard. Ideally, if I'm the Pelicans, I get a guy who can start some games. Or maybe not necessarily start, but come off of the bench and just provide CJ with less ball handling duties. I think would be beneficial to have CJ switch between on and off ball in that starting unit. Like I said, that doesn't necessarily mean that they need to go out there and get, a big time point guard to come in and start and to throw CJ at the 3. But I think a bench point guard would be very beneficial for this team. So I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Hood-Schifino. Only averaged 3.7 assists last season. I know, what is his – is that it? What the hell? We're just done at – we're done at 14? I'm not trying to be done at 14. What the hell? Lottery draft? Yeah, move on, man. Okay. All right, I guess that's it. And here's my lottery. I'm not done talking draft. Get my draft. I want to talk a little bit about the end of this draft class, or in the middle of this draft class. We'll go to NBA draft room and see who they got going. Let's just take a look at who they got going. Vic, Scoot, Brandon, Cam Whitmore at 4. Not huge on it. Amin Thompson, 6. Jarris Walker to the Pistons at 5. They'd be pleased. Taylor Hendricks to 7. To Indiana. Anthony Black at 8. Bilal Coulibaly at 9. It's an interesting move. I'm not huge on it, but it could work out big time. And for the Jazz, it would make sense. Baby Giannis. Czar Thompson, 10 to the Mavs. Sheesh. Jordan Hawkins, great basketball player. Grady Dick. Kassan Wallace, Kobe Bufkin, Derek Lively. All right, here's pretty much where we left off. So they have the Jazz taking Jalen Hood-Schifino. Keontae George is a great player. 17 is kind of a spot I wanted to talk about. Keontae George, Jalen Hood-Schifino, if he's still available, Nick Smith Jr., if he's still available, Jet Howard, I think on the Lakers would fit perfectly. Bryce Sensabaugh they got Bryce Sensabaugh going 27. Not the best shot creator on his own, but he can shoot. He's just kind of a guy who he is a little slow-footed on defense. Bryce Sensabaugh at 17 to the Lakers, I think might even be my pick. And then just to wrap things up here, 20 for the Rockets. Don't hate who they have actually at all. It would be, I think, a great pick. I wouldn't be surprised if they go like. Also, by the way, I think Chris Murray's being severely disrespected in the league or in the mocks. Wow, the guy I have the Rockets taking isn't even going first round here. City Sissoko, all right, you know what? I'll take it. Not sure the Rockets take that draft pick, though, so we'll wait and see. I didn't think we'd be solo today. Jeez. I didn't think we'd be solo today, but let's just take a look at Hoops Hype and see if we got anything else we can talk about. The Raptors just got some nice MJ selling the Hornets. And who's a part of the equity stake who's buying it? Fuck, dude, I think it's a professional athlete, right? There's somebody big who's on that class or who's a part of that group that's buying majority of the Hornets. What is important to note with Michael Jordan selling the Hornets is he's still going to be a part of the draft process. And then, as it says here, he's going to be keeping a minority stake. Victor Wembanyama not playing in the summer league. I think that's kind of stupid. One thing I was watching with Victor Wembanyama film last night was this dude's going to get bullied. He's just going to get bullied in the league at first. We kind of said the same thing about Chet last year, and unfortunately we weren't able to see him. With that being said, Victor Wembanyama is still going to have a great rookie season. He's still going to have a good NBA career. As long as he's on the court, he's going to feast. He's going to do his thing. Offensively, he's so versatile. He's going to score. Defensively, I just wonder what's going to happen, especially because the starting center for the Spurs right now isn't it Zach Collins? I like Zach Collins a lot, but what I'm thinking with Vic, and I've said this before on the stream or on the show, is I would limit Victor Wembanyama. I actually wouldn't play Victor Wembanyama in back-to-backs. And the reason I say that is because of the long season. He's playing right now, too. He's playing in France. He's going to get beat up in the paint, and it's going to take a toll on his body, regardless if he gains 20 pounds before the draft or, if he loses 20 pounds even, whatever it is, whatever weight he's at, he's going to get bullied. And they're going to make him feel it, and he's going to feel it. And you're traveling so much, and you're just constantly training, you're constantly working out, icing, recovering, getting back at it, getting in the lab. You're traveling so much that I just think it's going to catch up as it does to every rookie. But with Vic, you want to keep him healthy, especially because of his injury history. So next year, I'm only playing Vic 60 games. I'm playing Vic 60 games. Spurs aren't trying to win. Spurs will probably actually not be a horrible basketball team next season, especially we'll see what they do in free agency. But yeah, I'd limit Vic. I would not play Victor Wembanyama in back-to-backs in his rookie season. That's just me, though. I would love to stay in Minnesota, but it's business. I wouldn't mind it. I don't think he'll be back. But if you are the Minnesota Timberwolves, Naz Reid was huge for him last season, especially when guys like Rudy Gobert went down and Cat was still injured. Jeez, how does it going to be? Kings interested in Bradley Beal trade. Yep. Don't think they need to do that. I don't think they need to do that. Chris Paul absolutely wants to stay in Phoenix. Bruce Brown should be back with the Denver Nuggets next year until the Rockets offer him 4 years, $120 million. It's just a joke. Celtics looking into, apparently they've been really active in the trade market, as they should. One of those guards needs to go. They got Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. One of them needs to go at least. I know Celtics fans don't love when I say this. To me, it's Malcolm Brogdon. As great of a player he is, he's just never healthy in the playoffs. And that's something you need because the Celtics are a playoff team. So Pelicans not interested in trading Brandon Ingram. So didn't even need to talk about that. Pacers interested in Grant Williams have explored a trade for OG Anunoby. Unless the Raptors decide to blow it up and they actually trade for the number 3 pick, I would imagine OG Anunoby's future is still with the Toronto Raptors. For Indiana, I think getting a guy like Grant Williams is great. I think Grant Williams is a really good basketball player, and the scheme he went into out of college going to Boston, I don't think was the best possible fit. So I think whatever team he goes to next, I think a team like Indiana is a great fit, especially with Tyrese Halliburton as your starting point guard. And then this is all kind of stuff we've actually talked about before. Let's get into Pirtle here. If anybody tunes in here, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. I hate doing these alone. I really hope this is Duncan Robinson. It's not Duncan Robinson. He's old and he's got a high number. He's not old, probably. He's in the East. All right. Landry Shamet isn't tall, but let's just see if we can get – or not Landry Shamet. Why did I actually just guessed Landry Shamet. Thank God nobody's here watching this right now. All right, we'll go Grayson Allen. I can't believe I did that. Oh, yeah, he's older than 29. Neither of those players are older than 29. And they're both guards. Stupid. All right. So not in the Southeast, not in the Central. So we've got an Atlantic player here. Who's a little older and is a little bit taller. I don't think he's going to be a center, but he could. Who's the guy I was thinking of that he's on the Knicks? The guy it's not Evan Fournier, but that's who I was going to guess. And he's right. We'll try it. Fuck, dude, this is getting difficult. He's not a Knick. He's in the Atlantic. Is this a Brooklyn Net? How old is Joe Harris? He's not that old. So this guy's going to be over 30. He's going to be over 30. Is this a Raptor? Ah, shoot. It can't be a Raptor. His hair makes me think I'm thinking of a white dude. There's a team I'm missing. Is this guy on Philly? It's not going to be Georges Niang, so don't guess it. Three guesses left. Unbelievable. Former Sixer. This is a former Sixer, not a Knick. So we have the Nets. Perhaps. Why there's a team I'm forgetting. The Knicks, the Sixers, the Nets, the Raps. Motherfucker. Need to know who the other team is. It's Boston, idiot. Is this guy on Boston? Ooh. Blake Griffin never played for the Sixers. Luke Kornet, not that old, is he? He can't be that young. Oh, he's on Boston. Yeah, Luke Kornet's a bad guess. We have a Boston Celtic. I have two players to guess this. Sam Hauser can't be over 30. It's not Grant Williams. It's not Derek White. It's not Malcolm Brogdon. That cannot be Blake Griffin. It's a former Sixer on the Celtics. Whenever I get it, it's going to be so frustrating. But he's a little bit on the older side. That's not Al Horford, who played for him. Right? That's not Al Horford. He's bald. Oh, dude, I want to cheat so badly. Peyton Pritchard's not that old, man. But he's over the number 40. This guy, Blake Griffin. Why would you guess it? He's a little tall. He's not at 6'7", but he's taller than 6'9". Younger than 34. Who the fuck is this? Oh, man. Oh, no shit. Did Danilo Gallinari play for the Sixers? I don't remember that ever happening. Mike Muscala? It's got to be Mike Muscala or Danilo Gallinari. It's got to be Mike Muscala. Damn. Yeah, I would have never guessed that. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for the show. If you just watched the full show, appreciate you. Or if you're just watching right now, appreciate you. No one's here live, but if you come in here while I'm leaving, appreciate you tuning in here. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily live NBA content, and we will see you Monday morning at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific. Not a bad start for Pacific. Peace.